Should publishers give retailers a heads up as to what's going on? Well, it's a dumb question. Of course they should, but they usually don't. And I talk about a lot of ways that publishers could help retailers, could help fans, could help people buy comics and make those decisions. I think what I'm about to talk about is maybe one of the most important. Hey there, this is Perch. If you are connected to somebody with some influence, creator, whoever it might be, indie company, big company, wherever it is, and you want to point them at one video of mine, and you're thinking, is it the one where he sprays the Marvel perfume on himself, or this one? It's this one. Point them at this video. I think this is an area where, again, with a very tiny amount of effort, the retailers and the fans and the business can get healthier. And I think this is one where I've communicated it poorly in the past. I know other retailers have communicated it poorly at summits and cons and other things. So I want to give a very clear a blueprint, if you will, of how things can get better. So in the publishers, particularly the bigger ones, although this really applies to everyone, comics are being planned and solicited months before they're announced, and certainly months before they're in the hands of readers. And that's to be expected. I mean, how else are comics going to get made, right? And then in that chain, at some point, when a comic is baked, or at least more or less we know what's going to happen, some solicitation text gets written, usually some level of preview image. Maybe the cover's done. Maybe there could be a lot of different things. Hopefully the cover's done. That's usually what they like to do. And it goes into a catalog, it gets sent out. That catalog makes it into the hands of retailers, makes it into the hands of fans. And that's really the insight into what's coming up from the publishers. And that's also a little bit of informing both everybody. Here's what you should buy. Here's what you should read. Here's what you should collect. Here's what might become a collector's issue. Here's where this issue might tie into this other issue. So if you like Hawkman over here, then you're going to want to pick up Green Lantern because Hawkman is appearing in it. And, maybe there's a tie-in to his book, or maybe not. But, if you like the character, here you go. That's the whole purpose of communicating this message out to people. But what's happened is over the last, and I've really noticed, let's say 10 years, probably 15 years, we've seen the rise of comics journalism online. We've seen websites like Bleeding Cool and CBR and Newsarama and IGN. And IGN's, I know, not a comic site, but they were boosting themselves up as a big purveyor of comic news for a period of time. At any rate, you get these sites, and they are comic news. And so they go around and they scramble, and generally speaking, their news is not news. It's clickbaity, and it's taking kind of warmed over interviews and comments that maybe were made a long time ago, or maybe were made to a different site, and they're plucking little pieces here and there from them to make an article out of it. And this is, none of that's that valuable, that important, or maybe better said, that timely. But every now and then, usually a few times a week, there's a handful of articles that are either an interview with a creator where they pull out some bit of information, or maybe they heard some gossip, or maybe they're just guessing and they're lucky. Who knows? But some news comes out about future plans. And what I've noticed is as that has risen, as we've seen more of that activity come out, we've seen a drop in the solicitation and the communication of what's happening with the actual comics to the fans and the retailers directly. And this is negative for a few reasons. For one, the news that comes out of those sites are pretty dubious in most cases. I mean, you take a site like Bleeding Cool, much of what they present is either just complete clickbait or very kind of emotionally charged opinion pieces that are really designed to get people mad, not inform anyone. And then there's guesses. Rich Johnson will say, I heard this and that. My sources are telling me this. Everybody knows who the sources are at this point. It's just not, if you pay any attention whatsoever, it's clear. But that's still not clear communication. That's still not clear information. And so what that's done is it's created a gap. The solicitations that come out now from the publishers are, I'll just use negative words, they're a little lazier than they used to be, or maybe a lot lazier than they used to be. You don't really hear much. You get maybe a couple sentences that could be applied to almost any comic published. I mean, Hawkman will say something like, it's a, Hawkman's faced big threats before, but this new threat may be his biggest yet. Okay, cool. That doesn't bring anyone into the shop. There's no reader or no retailer who's going to read that going, oh my god, I need to get on Hawkman this month. I mean, he's faced some big threats before, but this one is bigger still. So I should order. I need to double order. Nobody thinks that way. That's not happening, and I don't think that anyone at the publisher thinks that either. My impression from talking to editors and people in the past is that the publisher are increasingly they view the solicitations as just noise. There's questions like, does anybody read this anyway? Would it be just easier to just print a list of comics? Don't put any descriptions to them. And then maybe, I heard this idea floated once of like, let's just print a list of comics and then we'll group them by, Spider-Man family, X-Men family. If there's a crossover, we'll make the grouping easier, but that's really all we need to do. That's an idea that people have. Is it a good idea? No, but that's how people view solicitations, and in my view, is linked to the fact that we've got comic journalism. You used to have Wizard, you had these magazines, but they were published, once a week or once a month, so they weren't frequent, and so you still had to provide the channel, i.e., the retailers, and by extension the fans. You still had to provide them with news and information. But when you've got news coming out, when you have like a CBR, spitting out 30 articles a day, then suddenly the need to actually, keep up with that news cycle drops, or at least it's easy to ignore. And if you want to boost sales, then putting effort into that is a big deal. Like, for example, right now, if you're Scott Snyder, if you're listening right now, here's something you could do. Just make a statement on your Twitter account, Facebook, wherever you happen to be, and say, hey, over the next 6 months, I can't reveal the secrets. Nobody's asking you to divulge things you shouldn't divulge. I'm saying, for anyone, I'm saying things like, hey, there's going to be a big event. If you liked metal, you're going to like this one. And it's going to last, I'm going to give you somewhere in the range of 6 to 9 issues. There's going to be some crossovers. It's going to feature all the major heroes, and it's going to be a life or death, really big situation. And if you want to get yourself prepared to it, you should be probably picking up this issue and this issue and this issue right now. And we have the original, the first 10 issues of Justice League are in a trade right now. You should go pick that up because we're going to reference a lot of stuff there. That'll get you ready for this event. But this is going to be a big one, and you're going to like it. I mean, just prep a little bit more. And to his credit, I may be picking on the wrong guy. I think Scott Snyder does a decent job with this. I think James Tynion does a wonderful job with this. There's a handful of creators that absolutely do this. Greg Pak does a decent job of this. There's people who are definitely coming out and saying, hey, what we need. I'll put it this way. I'll say it another way. Kelly Thompson will do a good job, and Matt Rosenberg will do a good job of promoting their book this month, or a book that's just come out, or even saying things like, FOC is coming up, so, get ready. And that's great. I no arguments there. I complimented Matt Rosenberg on Twitter for doing exactly that, for hustling and getting out there and promoting his book. Good for him. Thank you. That helps everybody. So what my next ask then is just let's take that and go a little further. Instead of promoting the book this month or next month, can you push it out 6 months? Now, you might push back and say, well, Marvel's not even giving us that kind of clarity about if we'll even have a job on this book in 6 months. We don't even know if the title will survive 6 months. Okay, that's fair. But I think you can say, if you're Kelly Thompson, you can say, with Deadpool, I'm looking to have a couple big arcs. I'm currently dreaming up some stuff for issue 20. And, a character I'd love to play with in the future is blah, blah, blah. And, if you want to get ready for that, here's some issues that I read in reference. I mean, another way to put it. Jonathan Hickman sort of did this with House of X. But if you're a creator, why not go ahead and publish what books you're reading to prep yourself for a storyline? Like if you are Scott Snyder and you're getting ready for some you're the new writer for Green Lantern, let's say next year. Why not say, hey, I'm currently reading Sinestro War, and I'm reading Blackest Night, and I'm looking into that storyline where Hal Jordan was making out with the 14-year-old, and that's what I'm currently reading right now in prep for some work. I can't tell you about it, but that's what I'm reading right now. That's helpful. All that stuff kind of paints a picture of, here's the universe they're playing in. Here's some ways you can get excited. Here's some other books. So see what that very subtle comment of, here's something to look forward to in the future, get excited about. Here's something in the past that you should go check out, which helps the back issue trade and helps build momentum. It sells both directions, new and old, simultaneously. It'd be very easy to do. And this is activities that a lot of you, the creators, the editors, you're doing this already. You're doing it now. All you need to do is get to a little bit of formal communication. I think you don't have to do a full-blown newsletter like some do. Just even, once a week coming out and pushing some stuff out is helpful. Jordan White would do the X-Men Mondays, and he would promote a bunch of stuff. Again, great activity. Now, can you broaden that out a little bit? Because when you're talking and you're promoting this week, it's helpful. Absolutely. But if you can push that out, not 1 week, but 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, now we're talking, particularly because your current vehicle for hyping the future is solicitations, and it's broken, completely broken. So this is something, it's easy, it costs you nothing. If you're reasonably careful about it, and I'm just going to trust nobody's dumb. You're not going to give away your trade secrets. You're not going to blow a storyline in advance. Get people talking. Put some meat in the water so the sharks can get all frothy and excited that you've got something really cool coming up. This is a good thing. And I think that, and again, I look at it as, this used to be done far better. If you actually go to the 2000 to 2010-ish era, this was fairly effective. I think creators were doing this pretty well. It was strong. It was positive. And what seemed to happen was comic news sites and journalism and that kind of stuff came up and just drowned you out. And it blew up the noise. And then everything seemed to kind of fall apart from there. So, not blaming them. They can do what they want to do, but take the control back in your hands. If you're an editor, publisher, creator, give us a little bit more of the horizon of what you're doing. And this can come in the form of what you're reading, what you're catching up on. It can come in the form of an artist that maybe you just learned you're going to work with and you can announce. I understand the publishers won't allow you to announce certain things. That doesn't mean you can come out and say, hey, you know what? I'm currently you could put it this way. You can say in a tweet, I'm currently writing an issue that's due or getting ready for a big project 6 to 9 months from now. I can't say anything about that project. What I can say, but everybody knows it's a project for DC. What I can say is that I went back and I'm reading, Blackest Night, and I'm studying every single issue because I need to be caught up on that storyline. That's all you need to do. That helps. Anything helps. That's my ask. And if you're the publisher side, consider providing some better guidelines or rules around what your creators can say. Because if you untie their hands a little bit, the marketing channel you'll create will be wonderful, and it's needed. It's really needed for the marketplace right now. So I'm hoping you can help us out. Anyway, what do you think? Leave me your comments below. Does this ring a chord with you? Strike a bell? What one of those two? Maybe I got those backwards. I think so. Leave me a comment, subscribe if you don't mind. Would love your subscription. Would love your like. Would love your engagement. However you feel like giving it. One way you can give it is going to Twitter and follow me at Comic Perch, or just dropping me a note there. DMs are open, as they say. So thanks for listening, and have a great day.